Why America is bombing Iran and what it means for the world. In late February 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated military strikes against Iran. Explosions shook cities like Tehran and Isfahan, not just military bases, bringing fear and panic to civilians. Schools and businesses closed, and residents rushed to safety or fled toward borders. But this isn't an isolated incident. It's the culmination of years of tension, negotiations, threats, and miscalculations, with consequences far beyond the Middle East. U.S. leaders argue Iran's nuclear program and ballistic missile capabilities pose an existential threat to regional allies and global security. Recent strikes were justified as efforts to neutralize Iran's missile infrastructure and military command after nuclear negotiations failed to produce a deal. The U.S. named these strikes Operation Epic Fury, claiming a mandate to dismantle Iran's military networks and missile systems while opening the door to internal pushback against Tehran's leadership. This isn't the first time. Previous U.S. strikes hit Iranian nuclear sites in 2025, reportedly delaying Iran's nuclear efforts by months. But critics say the conflict is rooted in decades of mistrust, sanctions, and proxy wars, rather than a single immediate threat. The U.S. and Iran have clashed since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, and tensions rose sharply after the U.S. withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018. The impact inside Iran has been profound. Panic and chaos in cities like Tehran and Tabriz as civilians search for safety. Destruction of infrastructure and disruptions to daily life. Hospitals now on high alert, communications interrupted. Economic pain is deeper now than in recent years. Inflation above 48%, and widespread shortages existed even before the war. For many Iranians, opinions are split. Some want regime change, others fear a repeat of long-term chaos and destruction like in Iraq. In retaliation, Iran launched missiles toward Gulf states like the UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, and Jordan, some of which host U.S. bases. One reported fatality occurred in Abu Dhabi. Commercial flights between Europe, India, the Middle East, and North America have been disrupted as airlines avoid the conflict zone. Wider tensions stretch from Iraq to the Red Sea, affecting trade routes, alliances, and local economies. A renewed Middle Eastern war could involve multiple actors rather than just Iran and the U.S.-Israel. Iran sits next to the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow sea passage through which nearly 20% of the world's oil flows. Any prolonged instability here could push oil prices sharply higher, fueling global inflation and economic uncertainty. Disruptions in the Gulf have ripple effects on global trade, from energy to shipping, increasing costs worldwide. Investors respond to war risk by moving money out of stocks and into safe haven assets, slowing growth and increasing volatility. Some countries, including Russia, have condemned the U.S.-led strikes, calling them unprovoked aggression and warning of humanitarian, economic, and radiological consequences. While some argue that military pressure can curb threats, critics say bombing risks igniting a much larger war that draws in China, Russia, and global powers, making diplomacy more urgent than ever. This conflict isn't simply about bombs and missiles. It's about regional power, nuclear fears, global economics, and alliances that could reshape the 21st century. Whether the world moves closer to peace or farther from it may depend not on war itself, but on what leaders choose after the smoke clears.